Hi, this is number 4 in my video blog series. Today I'm going to talk about food and drink you should avoid when you're doing treatment. So I'm just talking about Sofosbuvir based treatment, so that's Harvoni, Sofosbuvir and Daclatasvir, and Epclusa, which is Sofosbuvir plus Daclatasvir. First of all, I'll talk about Harvoni and Epclusa, because the issues are the same with both of those. So Sofosbuvir is the main ingredient when you're doing this sort of treatment. In Harvoni and in Epclusa, Sofosbuvir is the main ingredient. There's 400 milligrams of Sofosbuvir, and in Harvoni you add 90 milligrams of Ledepasvir, and in Epclusa you add 100 milligrams of Daclatasvir. It took me nearly 3 years to learn how to pronounce those things too, by the way. With Daclatasvir and Ledepasvir, the secondary ingredients in Harvoni and Epclusa, the big issue is that Ledepasvir and Daclatasvir are both really insoluble. That means that they're not really soluble in water. Sofosbuvir is easily soluble in water, it dissolves easily in the stomach, and it's absorbed easily into the blood. But Ledepasvir and Daclatasvir are kind of insoluble. It takes a lot to break them down, and they rely very strongly on the stomach acid to dissolve them and get them into the bloodstream. And there's probably some other little tricks that Gilead have devised, which we don't know about, for improving the absorption. But let's just say that critical to the absorption of Ledepasvir and Daclatasvir is the stomach acid. So if you're taking Harvoni or Epclusa, the main thing is when you take your pill that the stomach acid has access to the pill. So for that reason, first of all, you must never take any antacids, that is antacids, when you're taking your Harvoni or Epclusa, because these neutralize the stomach acid, and that will severely reduce the amount of actual drug that can be absorbed into your body. So a few people I know have been, they've had stomach problems, reflux problems and stuff. They've taken antacids while they've been doing treatment, and they've relapsed because they've effectively been underdosing themselves because they weren't absorbing enough of the active ingredient. So the first thing, and it's even in the instructions when you get the medicine, but who reads instructions? But anyway, so now I'm telling you, if you're doing Harvoni or Epclusa, you can't take antacids with the pill. You can, if you really have to, you can take them some considerable hours after, say 4 hours or more after you've taken the pill, because hopefully it's all been absorbed by then. But personally, I would suggest if you can avoid taking them, then it's better not to take them. Also, any other supplements that might neutralize stomach acid. For example, some people have suggested magnesium supplements could be a problem, because magnesium is highly alkaline, and it could have an effect on the stomach acids. And generally speaking, my opinion is that it's better to take your Epclusa or Harvoni with a small amount of food, so that the stomach acid is stimulated, and there's a bit of churning goes on, rather than just sort of swallow a pill with a glass of water on an empty stomach. It says on the instructions you can take it with or without food, but it just seems logical to me that if you wake up in the morning, put a pill on your tongue, swallow it down with a glass of water, it's not going to hang around that long. Whereas if you have it with a little, and there's not going to be much stomach acid generated, so if you have it with a little bit of food, a bit of bread and cheese, or some small amount of food that will stimulate the stomach acid, and will mean that your stomach sort of churns the stuff over and mushes it up. That's going to increase your chances of absorbing the medicine properly. Conversely, I would say it wouldn't be smart to take your pill with a big meal, because if you've got a gut full of food, then some of the medicine is going to be sort of mixed up with the food and move out of the stomach before it's absorbed into your body. So my suggestion on that is take your medication with a small amount of food. The other thing is to take it at about the same time every day, and also get a little pill box so that you don't forget any particular day, or you don't forget whether you've taken your pill or not. So Harvoni and Epclusa, the issue is that they're not soluble, so you need to increase the absorption by getting as much stomach acid going on as you can. Now, it's very different with the other treatment option, which is Sofosbuvir and Daclatasvir. That also is Harvoni, which is made by Beacon Industries in Bangladesh. That's Harvoni is Sofosbuvir and Daclatasvir in one pill. Generally speaking, you get Sof and Dac in two separate pills if you're getting it from India or anywhere else. Sofosbuvir and Daclatasvir, it's the opposite situation. Both Sof and Dac are easily absorbed into the blood. Again, I think it's not a bad idea to have a little bit of food rather than taking the pill on an empty stomach with a glass of water. But that's a matter of choice. So both Sof and Dac are water soluble. They absorb easily in the stomach, and so there's no issue with that. The issue arises with Sofosbuvir and Daclatasvir. Again, it's with the secondary drug Daclatasvir that you can get problems, and that's because there's an enzyme in the body which has a very long name, which I can't pronounce, which basically is linked to getting rid of certain chemicals from the blood. It breaks down Daclatasvir, but the same family of enzymes also breaks down coffee. So when you have a cup of coffee, you get that initial buzz, and then gradually the caffeine is taken out of your body by your body's filtering system, and one of the enzymes that's responsible for breaking down and removing the caffeine from the body also breaks down and removes Daclatasvir. So if you've got a lot of that enzyme in your blood, then it's going to break down the Daclatasvir very quickly. The same family of enzymes breaks down another stimulant which is found in energy drinks like Red Bull and V and stuff like that. That stimulant is very similar to caffeine. It's called taurine, and it acts in a very similar way to caffeine. And again, the body uses the same enzyme to break down taurine as is used to break down Daclatasvir. So again, if you've got taurine in your system and your body's generating a lot of this enzyme to break that down, it's also going to be by default breaking down Daclatasvir as well. So I've met a couple of people, and it might seem a little extreme, but I've met a couple of people who were doing 20 cups of coffee a day, and they had so much of this enzyme in their blood that the Daclatasvir was basically disappearing as soon as it went into the blood. So, and also I've met people who are doing energy drinks, 3 or 4 Red Bulls or something each day, and they were underdosing as well. So while you're on treatment for Daclatasvir and using Daclatasvir and Sofosbuvir, then keep your coffee consumption low. A couple of cups a day is no problem, but if you're sort of getting 5-10 cups of coffee a day, it could cause underdosing issues. And no energy drinks like Red Bull and V and all that family with the taurine, because the taurine is a real problem. So the other question that comes up fairly often is foods like grapefruit and papaya and that kind of stuff. Now these aren't really a big problem. What they actually do is they increase the absorption of these drugs into your system. So it just means that you if you say having a grapefruit juice and then dropping your Harvoni or your Sofdac or something like that, you may actually end up absorbing more into your body or having more in your bloodstream than what would be normal. That's not going to cause much of a problem unless you're very small, and you end up with a huge proportional amount. But those things like grapefruit and papaya and pineapple and stuff like that, it's really not going to make any significant difference to your treatment whether you consume them or not, except if you do it in really huge quantities. So for Harvoni, remember that the problem and Epclusa, remember that the problem is absorption and insolubility. So you want to have a nice acid stomach happening after you've taken those pills, and not too much food in there, just a little bit of food. And with the Sofdac, no energy drinks and not too much coffee. And then smooth sailing, hopefully. Bye.